It began as an innocent walk across the frozen lake. The sky was an oppressive gray and the air was sharp enough to sting my lungs. The snow around me was undisturbed. The surface of the ice beneath my boots slick and reflective, like a black mirror under a thin layer of frost. The lake was massive, surrounded by skeletal trees whose branches reached upward like desperate hands. Each step echoed in the silence, a hollow thud followed by an unsettling stillness. I tried not to think about the depth beneath me, the cold black water that seemed to press against the ice like something alive. My boots slid slightly and I crouched instinctively, regaining balance as a soft crack echoed beneath me. A faint sound reached my ears, a low hum, rhythmic and pulsing. I stopped and scanned the horizon, but there was nothing but the expanse of ice and the trees in the distance. The hum grew louder, vibrating through the soles of my boots. I crouched to touch the surface and the ice was warm. A fissure spidered out beneath my hand, spreading like a web across the lake. I jumped back, heart racing, as the cracks illuminated faintly, a pale blue light glowing from the fractures. The ice beneath me seemed impossibly thin now, bending slightly under my weight. Shapes appeared in the glow. At first, they were faint, swirling shadows deep beneath the surface. They moved slowly, undulating like seaweed caught in a current. Then, one of them turned upward. It was a face, or what was left of one. Sunken eyes and a lipless grin stared back at me. My breath caught as it pressed against the ice, its skeletal hands clawing upward. More shadows gathered, drawn to my position, their forms writhing in the icy depths. The hum became a deafening roar, the ice trembling violently. I bolted, running as fast as I could across the slick surface. The cracks chased me, glowing brighter, and the shapes beneath grew bolder, clawing upward until I could hear the faint scraping of nails against the ice. Ahead, the ice buckled, sending me sprawling. I slid on my side, my breath fogging in the freezing air, and I turned to see a long, jagged crack chasing me like a living thing. Beneath it, one of the shapes surged upward, slamming into the ice with enough force to shatter the surface in a spray of shards. Freezing water surged over the ice, spilling across the surface in dark, rippling waves. I scrambled to my feet, the cold seeping into my boots, and sprinted toward the far shore. My footing was unsteady, and my legs screamed in protest, but I couldn't stop. The shadows were no longer just beneath the ice. They broke through the surface, their forms twisting and dragging themselves forward, leaving trails of frost and jagged scratches in their wake. One of them lunged, and I dodged just in time, slipping and nearly losing my balance. The forest was so close now. The dark line of trees felt like salvation, but the ice had other plans. A section ahead of me cracked and gave way, leaving a gaping hole. I skidded to a stop, my momentum carrying me dangerously close to the edge. I turned, desperate for another route, but the shapes were closing in. The nearest one had almost reached me, its gnarled hands stretching outward. I grabbed a shard of broken ice, its edge jagged, and hurled it. The shard struck the figure, shattering into mist, but it only slowed momentarily before surging forward again. The ice beneath me groaned loudly, and I felt it sag. Without thinking, I leapt toward the gap ahead, landing hard on the unbroken section of ice. Pain shot through my knees, but I pushed myself forward, crawling until I could stand again. The shore was only a few steps away. I could feel the frost clinging to my skin, the chill cutting through my coat like it wasn't there. I lunged for the tree line, my hand catching the rough bark of the nearest trunk. Behind me, the ice exploded. Shards flew in all directions, and a tidal wave of freezing water surged onto the shore, soaking my legs. The figures rose fully now, no longer bound by the ice, their forms towering and grotesque. They hesitated at the edge of the forest, their glowing eyes fixed on me. I didn't wait to see what they would do. I plunged deeper into the trees, weaving through the dense undergrowth, the sounds of the lake fading behind me. My breath was ragged, my body trembling from the cold and the adrenaline. Finally, I stopped, collapsing against a tree trunk. The forest was silent, save for the faint rustle of wind through the branches. The lake was hidden now, out of sight, but I could still feel its presence, like it was watching. The cold didn't leave me. It clung to my skin, to my thoughts, a reminder of how close I'd come. I looked back toward where the lake had been, half expecting to see those shapes stalking through the trees, but there was nothing. I had escaped. But the hum started again, faint, distant, but unmistakable. The ice hadn't let me go. It had only let me run.